Good evening, y'all. Happy Sunday. Let's see who else. Let's see who we got in here so far. Pierre 8858 hyped. Right on, man. Good to see you. Plowboy, good to see you, man. Short stories by Kate. Hello, everybody. Hope you all have had a good Sunday so far. So we had planned to do the Comancheros, I believe. Yeah, the Comancheros movie night, but Terry R emailed me and said he wouldn't be able to be here tonight. So what we're gonna do is wait till probably next week, and we'll do another movie night. And we'll do Comancheros that night. And tonight there are actually two stories. Most of the job is researching and writing. So there's two stories that I found in little cramped in here in early settlers and Indian fighters of Southwest Texas. We've done a couple stories from this, and it's a wonderful book. I highly recommend that you get it. But some of the stories in there are they're really short, so it's a really easy read. It's like a great coffee table book, great bathroom book. Be kind of odd, but it would work. But they don't work for a full HOKC episode because they're so short that it's just not, you can't stretch it into 10, 15 minutes. So I found two stories of firsthand accounts from a lady named, gotta look that up, Miss Elizabeth Fessenden. She is from, but she was in San Saba County, and I believe she lived until the 1890s. But she was married to a Texas Ranger named, I just read these, so bear with me here, Samuel Fessenden. So they were living in Guadalupe County. We'll like, this is just a preface. We'll let everybody roll in here. But they're living in Guadalupe County. They moved to San Saba County in the 1860s, and that was a crazy place to be in the 1860s. Her husband's a Texas Ranger, so he's going up there for work. And this lady left some crazy stories. Let's do a little background on the book, and we'll give everybody a couple minutes to come in here. But A.J. Soule in the late 19th century, he was a former Texas Ranger, had lived on the Texas frontier and experienced all these Comanche attacks and battles and everything. And he had compiled all these stories together. He's got a couple books, but he compiled all these stories. You can see it's really thick. And so we went around interviewing these people, inhabitants or their relatives, and he got a in-person interview with Elizabeth Fessenden and just started compiling all these stories into a book. So these are actual interviews with the actual people who saw these things. The book itself was written 125 years ago. So it's just a really good firsthand account of somebody who's actually lived there and saw these stories. And these two stories tonight are crazy. We're going to have to dance around the terms of service a little bit, but I think we can make it work. Charles, good to see you. Catching another live. Excited. Right on, man. Glad to have you here. Louisiana Gray, this should be interesting. I think so. I think it'll be two good stories. If you're just getting here, these are two stories that are shorter stories, and they're really intense, but I just couldn't figure out how to stretch them into an episode or two episodes. So I thought, well, let's cover them on a live because we can do both these stories and we'll talk about it and all that good stuff. But if I couldn't put them on an episode, I felt like it was a complete disservice to the show and to y'all to not include them somewhere. And they're too long for a short. So I was like, they're perfect for a live stream. Let's see, let's go to 5 minutes. We'll let everybody come on in. Oh, been a long week, guys. The allergies are hitting everybody, but we can make it through this stream. We can make it. The throat will hold out. Granberry checking in. What's up, Freddie? We're going to talk about San Saba County a lot today. So you'll know where that's at. And I actually brought up a map to show everybody at least a rough approximation of where San Saba's at. So let's give it another minute or so. How's everybody doing today? Good Sunday so far. I think we'll have this is kind of a pivot from movie night, but I think this will be fun. This will be a good one. I've been sick for over a week. Something is going around. I'm sorry to hear that, Charles. Hope you feel better soon. Yeah, it has. I don't know where in the country you are, but all over Central Texas, everyone's and it's not a terrible sick. It's like a cold, but everybody's got something. So I'm staying loaded up on vitamin D, vitamin C, good old HEB brand name. Doing good. Thanks for asking. Yeah, good, man. Right on. So we're at 5 minutes. We got enough people in here. Hey, from France, says Pierre. Oh, wow. I think that's our first French viewer. Good to have you. Good to have you. I'd like to visit France sometime. A lot of really good history there. San Saba area seems to have some rough stories, ranger wise. Short stories by Kate says, yeah, San Saba's right on the edge of the frontier in the 1860s. And if you've never been there, it is it is frontier looking. There are like mesas and rivers and plains and mesquite everywhere. Elite Super Grunt, what's up, man? You might know where San Saba's at, Elite Super Grunt. So we're at about 5 minutes in. Let's see. What do we want to do? Let's do the map first, so we can show everybody exactly where we're talking about. I think that helps. Let's do a share, and I'm going to make sure everybody can see it. Can everybody see the map? Because we had a little problem with this last time, but I think I've got it worked out. San Saba has that Spanish massacre, right? It's near Lampasas. It's north of Lampasas, but it does. I've been to the San Saba mission there. That's it. We did an episode on that. That was one of our first episodes. You can see it, Plowboy. Cool. All right. So zoom. Let's do this. I'm gonna make this. And oops, that didn't help, did it, guys? I'm still learning as we go, guys. So we'll zoom out a little bit. And you can see it's basically smack dab in the middle of Texas, kind of northwest of Austin and northwest of San Antonio. So we'll keep zooming in here. And the place we're talking about in our first story is going to be Peg Leg Crossing. So you can see it's kind of smack dab in the middle of nowhere. It's way out there. And even today, there's not a lot around it. There we go. How do I'm trying to, okay, guys, I'm gonna have to X out of this. There we go. All right. So you have a rough idea of where it's at. And in our first story, I got to look at the exact, because I just read these this afternoon and I thought this would be really good. So I think it's 3 Rangers. It's 1863. They're at the Peg Leg Crossing, the San Saba River, and they're chasing a group of Comanche raiders. Like, we've heard this story many times, but every time it's just a little bit different. I believe there are 5 Comanche raiders. What happens is they get out in the San Saba area is a larger raiding party starts to splinter and they get smaller and smaller. So if you have, let's say, 20 guys and they're raiding 20 Comanche warriors and they're raiding in the Fredericksburg area, which would be a hot spot during this time, they'll start heading northwest. We've talked about how they go northwest. They're heading towards the plains. Well, if you got 20 guys, they'll start separating into smaller and smaller groups because it's harder and harder to catch them, to apprehend them as they go northwest. So they start splitting up, and the Rangers find one of these groups of 5. They unalive 3 of them. One of them gets away, goes out northwest. One of them is trapped, is hit, is wounded, and then crawls into this thicket. And this whole area has like expanses of prairie, and then there'll be like a mesa, like you would see in a John Ford movie. And then there'll be these interspersed thickets of oak and mesquite. There'd be a lot sparser mesquite in the 1860s than there would be today because of the cattle trails. The cattle brought up, they would get seeds on their horn or on their hooves, and they brought up mesquite and thorns and all kinds of stuff that came up north from Mexico that wouldn't have been, you'd associate it with the area today, but it wouldn't have been as common in the 1860s, especially early 1860s. Bamadiana, good to see you. Glad you made it. So these Rangers are on the trail. If you're just getting in here, we got the Rangers chasing the Comanches, and we have one wounded Comanche who's crawled into this thicket. Now he is stuck behind this tree. He's really got himself ensconced in an area where the Rangers can't circle around behind them. And he's behind this big oak tree, and he's only got a bow and arrows. But we've talked about this before too, how the rate of fire, even in the 1860s, the Comanche have a comparable rate of fire even to the Patterson Colt revolvers. And once they're in an ensconced position, they're still very dangerous. So the Rangers are trying to find a way to get through this thicket and get to the Comanche. And they don't want to capture him. They're trying to unalive him for sure. They get hunkered down on kind of the outside of the thicket, and they're all together. And they spend quite a while here trying to figure out some kind of angle to get behind that tree. One guy will go out to the right, try to get an angle. He'll get shot at with an arrow, and then he scurries back to their main position where they're kind of ensconced in this thick spot of the thicket, I guess. Nick Sweeney, what's up, man? It's made it difficult for me to be promptly punctual to the stream when we start with a 30 minutes long commercial advertisement for some brand of bowel symptom remedy. Well, the bowel symptom remedy, it's not only fantastic, but they're a very loyal sponsor of the program. So, you know what I mean? We have to make time for our sponsors. Speaking of, and that's just a joke, by the way. We don't have a sponsor of a bowel symptom remedy, but I really had to take a sip there, not gratuitous. The Rangers spend a number of hours trying to figure out how they're going to flank this guy, how they're going to flush him out from where he's at. Finally, one of the Rangers, they don't give names, they just say Ranger. One of the Rangers says, you know what? I've had it with this. It's not that big a deal. We're trying to get this wounded Comanche, and they know he's severely wounded or he would have gotten away. So he says, I've had it with this. This should be easy work. And we're just sitting here wasting all this time. So he goes around the thicket and basically is like, I got this, right? Sneaks into the thicket and gets into a back and forth firefight, I guess. It's a bow and arrow versus a gun. So not a firefight, but yeah, he's exchanging shots with this Comanche and not hitting him. He can't get an angle. And he finally goes to where he's got a good shot and he pops up to take it. And the Comanche puts an arrow right here, like right above his eyes, right through his forehead. And you would think, I thought when I was reading it, oh, okay, well, that's the end of that guy. But then it says the very next line, he crawled back to his comrades. And it's like, what? So he did. He crawled back to his comrades with a full arrow sticking out of his head. The other two Rangers are obviously at first like, whoa, bro, that's what's going on here. And then secondly, they're like, well, we got to do something. So they hold him down. Like one guy is holding him down and the other guy's like, he's trying to like pull on it. And the Ranger's like getting his head pulled forward. It's just a grisly scene. And I think I can say blood, but yeah, plenty of that pouring everywhere. If you've ever had a head wound, it just bleeds like a stuck hog, right? Yeah, this is wild. They finally they can't get it out on their own, and they don't even get the Comanche. The Comanche just eventually, after that was his last shot, and then he just was unalive from blood loss. So they know they got to get back home, and they take the Ranger. They kind of, prop him up on a horse, and they break the arrow shaft off. So he's just got this like stick coming out of his head. He's all messed up, and they ride him home. So they go all the way back to San Saba, and when they get to San Saba, everyone is like, "Oh my gosh, this guy is clearly injured," and we got to get him into the doctor. So they rush him into the doctor, and what I gotta look her name up again. What Mrs. Fessenden remarks on is that they got their buddy back and they rescued him, and the doctor was able to extract the arrowhead. It had gone and penetrated the skull, but it didn't hit anything behind it. It was just like a miracle. So they finally extract it. The guy's got a scar there for the rest of his life. But Miss Fessenden comments on how, yes, they had rescued their buddy, but everyone noticed when they came back, they had a Comanche scalp. So they had taken the time to scalp this guy. At some point, with this guy's got this protrusion from his head, like a stick sticking out of there, the arrow shaft. They said, like, all right, bud, you're good for a second. Hold on. We're going to go scalp this guy. They go get the scalp first, and then they all rush back to San Saba and get their buddy fixed up. And I just thought, like, what a grisly way to live, and like that was just normal. And I think a lot of people don't realize the Rangers took scalps too, but it was such a, man, that's a rough bunch of dudes, right? Like it just speaks to just what kind of guy was a Ranger. It doesn't mean they're bad dudes, but it doesn't mean they're nice guys, right? And that's pretty much kind of where she leaves it. It's like a page long story. And this chapter, if you have it, if you have the book and you haven't gotten it yet, it is called Frontier Incidents and it's on page 577. It's like every page, every story is like one or two pages, but they're all like that. They're all just like, and it's kind of her just talking. She's like, well, my husband went off and then they came back and he had a protrusion from his head. And I happened to notice they had the Comanche scalp. And it's like, what? This is a crazy story. But yeah, a good one. It's hard to stretch 15, 20 minutes out of that, but just that short story tells a lot. Like the guy got shot in the face, in the forehead with an arrow, didn't go down. And then in the midst of all that, they're like, hold on, bro, we got to do something real quick. And he lived. The guy lived. Everybody, all the Rangers in that fight survived, but just another day. She talks about all of this like it's just another day, which it was to her. All right, let's check the chat real quick. A nice one, right? Good start. I think that's probably one of my favorite that I've read in this book, honestly. It's short, it's sweet, and it's intense. Let's see. Hey from France, we got that. Got that. Got caught up with Nick Sweeney, who is slightly late tonight, but we'll let that slide. Um, I think they're gonna leave. I think that's gonna leave a mark. Yeah, it did. Man, tough dudes back then. Very tough. And so obviously, so were the Comanche. And it's interesting to see at this the Rangers. It's a big point of contention whether scalping came from the Spanish, from the Dutch, or whether it was always here. The Rangers weren't influenced by the Spanish and the Dutch. The Rangers took the scalping practice as a retributive measure against the Comanche, and it's interesting to see how common it was, especially by 1860. But it had been happening pretty much since the beginning of the Rangers. Arrows are no joke, says Freddie. Yeah, it would suck, man. Is 90% lit still a Comanche moon? It'll be crawling past the horizon in another hour. That's a good question because I think like technically it has to be a full moon, but I mean the phrase Comanche moon comes from it. The idea is that it's bright enough to keep carrying out raids, and it's like, well, that would still could you have a raid under the light of this moon? You could. So in my view, it still technically counts or practically counts. Let's see. Brutal men in a brutal world. Yeah, really. And the another point here is like this is told from the wife of a ranger. So it's like, these women were living incredibly hard lives too. And it's interesting how they all kind of just talk about it as it's just how it was. Like they're not playing up the brutality of it. They don't even really talk about it in those terms. They're just kind of telling you what happened. And it's just an interesting, a much different paradigm than we would have today. Let's see. Comanche use steel. Yeah, it doesn't say that in the story, but that was my impression. This was a steel arrowhead. Because they once if they could get steel, they would take it because it hooked. It was not as hard as the stone arrowhead. So that's what they were looking for. And they knew what peritonitis is, and they would aim for the stomach. That's just man, that's brutal. That's the last thing I'd want. No, I'd rather take a head hit than a stomach hit. He lived, says Pet Detective. He lived, yeah. And what's crazier is like it didn't even like fully incapacitate him. He just like crawled back to his boys. I knew a dude in Fallujah who was shot in the helmet, dead center. That's crazy, man. You were in Fallujah? That's wild. Hola, amigos and amigas. What's up, Space Cowboy? I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between here and Salty Cracker. No worries, man. Glad to have you. Restream, kind of. Let the salt flow. No salt here. Actually, very little salt. Mrs. I keep having to look her name up because it's fairly long. Miss Fessenden had no salt. She was just talking. No concussion protocols in the Rangers back then. No, I think they just put them right back in the field. Let's see. The scout. There might have been like a 19th century protocol, but they probably just like, how many fingers? If you got within one or two fingers, they let you go. The scalping was here all along, east to west. Yeah, I'm of that. I think it was. I'm of that mind too, Nick Sweeney. I think it was exacerbated, maybe the word, with the French or with the Spanish and Dutch, but it was here. Let's see. If they want scalping, okay. Yep, 2 hours, two tours. Fallujah, 2004, dude. You've I'm glad you made it back. You can kind of understand what these Rangers were going through. Hopefully, you guys had a better concussion protocol than the Rangers, but that's wild, bro. Okay, got that. I think we're all caught up. Any questions about that last story? And Charles, thank you for your service. Seriously, dude, that's wild. Let's see. Yeah, if anybody here doesn't know the story of Fallujah, there's some uh, really good videos on it, and it's some crazy stuff. Let's see. Thanks, man. Yeah, absolutely, man. Glad you're here. I think we're caught up. Any more questions on that one before we jump into our next one? And again, these are I think this next one is another page long one, but they're cool. They're really cool stories. Exactly. No salt here, which is one of the big reasons I love this channel. Salt free, salt free. And if you don't know internet lingo, salt means tears. So no crying, no tears here. All right, on to our next one. And a short one, but it's again kind of illustrates the day-to-day nature of what these people were living with. And on both sides. Like I don't want to be too PC or conciliatory, I guess. We don't want to go down that route too far. But yeah, the Comanche were getting their homeland invaded. They were obviously in the 1860s really starting to get they were going to have one more decade throughout the 1860s, certainly throughout the Civil War, because there's just less attention and resources being allocated to Texas. Um, so they're going to have uh, heyday, so to speak, in the 1860s, but they've been devastated by disease. They've lost, I mean, every Comanche warrior had likely lost a family member to smallpox. Cholera, too, was really just devastating the Comanche. Uh, so they've been severely impacted themselves, just to say that both sides were severely impacted. But yeah, these people lived. I don't know that there's anywhere in the world that we can really contextualize that with today. Maybe somewhere in the Middle East, somewhere in a extremely war torn country, but these people lived day to day lives like they're still getting food, doing laundry, chopping wood. All this is happening, but under the auspices of the constant threat of attack. So um, it's a really hard to imagine thing. But we'll do our best with our next story. Um, so this is a Mr. Hall. This is also in San Saba County. He had this really fine horse, and he was a local rancher, but he was obsessed. He knew the Comanche were out everywhere, right? He had this one horse that like every day he'd bring in to the pen. He wouldn't let it run free with the other horses because he was just terrified that this horse was going to get taken by the Comanche. If the Comanche raid and they take the other horses, like we can live, but not this horse. And one day he is headed to, oh, he's going to San Saba. It's about 15 miles away. And he's fully armed. He doesn't go anywhere without his pistol. It's very likely Walker Colt revolver at that time, but he stays strapped everywhere he goes. But he had taken a little bit of a circuitous route, and obviously nobody knows why. But he came about a half mile away from this guy named Uncle Jimmy Wood's place, which sounds like a barbecue place, but it's a local inhabitant. He comes about half a mile away from there, and he's not going there. It's just kind of on his route to San Saba. And Jimmy Wood hears what he thinks is like a pack of coyotes. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning. And if you've ever heard a pack of coyotes, you know what that sounds like. It's like rah, 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 very high pitched noises, and you'll hear, I don't know, 10, 20 more. And it's just, if you've heard it, you're like, yeah, that's what that is. And it's an unpleasant, uh, disturbing sound. No matter how many times you've heard it, it's creepy to hear. So Jimmy Wood thinks he hears that, but what it actually is, a half mile away from his place, Mr. Hall is getting first surrounded because they found these circular tracks all around him, and obviously didn't work out well for him. Uh, about an hour later, Jimmy Wood goes out there. There's Mr. Hall. He's got all the de rigueur, posthumous mutilations, right? All of his stuff is taken. His horse is taken. He is scalped. Yeah, all the mutilations. His pistol, his shoes, everything is gone. And that's just it was like he had spent all this time trying to keep everything he had. He was terrified of a Comanche raid, and everybody just thought it to be this real tragedy that he had lost that horse in particular. Like the tragedies that you'll see mentioned, even the way that Mrs. I'll look it up again, guys. Is it Fessenden? I don't know why it's so hard for me to remember that. But the tragedy that they're talking, the tragedy that most seems to strike people in the or strike her in this account is that sure he lost his life, but it seemed like well everybody knew that might happen, but his horse got taken. Like that was the real like everyone was like, man, that's such a shame. He tried to take such good care of that horse, but really that entire story takes up about oh man maybe three quarters of a page, and that guy's entire life is summed up like I said maybe 200 words, something like that, because he was just another tale on the frontier. Like it's like her telling you about what happened last Wednesday. It's just such a common thing in this area that she kind of just mentions it. If this happened in one of our cities or one of our neighborhoods, you might not ever get over it. Like it's not just they'll kind of sum these attacks up succinctly. Oh, he was attacked. He didn't make it. He was scalped. But you have to really, think about that second by second and put yourself in that position. Like if you found somebody in this condition, it would, like I said, it would just traumatize the average person, understandably. But these people they found this not all the time. Like I think we kind of overestimate that a little bit. Like it wasn't a literally everyday thing, but it was so common. There are one, two, three. I think there are five stories just in this one chapter, just in this one interview with this one lady, where she recounts these five horrific events. Like you can think of them. I mean, think of them like finding what's the legal term? It's the M word. It rhymes with herder. I don't think I can say that here, but you're finding herder victims just terribly mutilated. It's funny I can say mutilated, but not the other word, um, as a kind of regular course of life. And I think that's hard for us to imagine, but it's a good thing to try to imagine so you can contextualize these stories more. And I think get more out of them, more empathy, more appreciation for those involved, and just gives you a better, more holistic understanding. And really, those are the two big ones I've got so far, and I'm only halfway through that chapter. But like I said, I think those are two um, really illustrative stories of how life at that time was on the frontier, and they were just too hard to fit into, too hard to stretch out into full episodes. But I really wanted to share them. I thought you guys would enjoy that. So I'm gonna hop in the chat now, see if there's anybody. If you have any questions on any of those, any questions on the book, any questions on upcoming content, we should have another episode out on Tuesday. We'll have another one out Thursday or Friday, another one out Sunday. We'll be live streaming all week. We'll have shorts coming. So big week coming up here. We'll have lots of content coming for you guys. Let's see. The Walker, what a heavy piece. Yeah, it was really, really a big gun. Big pew pew, whatever. I think it's 12, 14, 16 inches. Big, big gun. And like it wasn't uncommon that the Rangers would club people with them. Let's see. What does GWAT mean? Asked Pet Detectives Adventures. The Global War on Terror. So you'll hear people say, I'm a GWAT vet or I was in the GWAT. It's a acronym. Good evening, all. I am here, but not going to be active in the chat just here. No problem, Steven. Glad you made it. Good to see you, man. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Somebody already explained the GWAT. I wonder how many of these people survived to put on the reservations. Not a ton. There was way, way fewer. It's hard to guess how many. I'm sure there's rough guesstimates out there, but the 25,000 number that we've talked about for the population of the Comanche, that's kind of the peak. So we're talking, I don't know, probably less than half of that by the 18 late 1870s when they were finally all relegated to the reservation. Um, I mean, the men that were fighting. How many of them survived to be probably just a scant few. Like I said, maybe of the fighting men, you'd probably think, well, let's say that there's 15,000 left. So maybe 7,500 are men. Of those, maybe 50% are warriors. So what, 3,750? And probably if let's say several thousand maybe, but that's not very many. Maybe a couple thousand. I'm sorry I have to leave, Pierre. No problem, man. It's 2:30 in the morning. Yeah, we've learned about GMT, so that's what I was guessing. But we'll watch the video tomorrow. Come on back, man. Well, the video will be up, so watch it anytime. Glad you made it. Glad you made it. You're our first French viewer. Glad you have been a part of this. Thank you for the videos. Absolutely, man. Thank you for watching. The real reason they call them hand cannons, says Pennsylvania Plowboy. Yeah, really, it's not just uh, it's like a clever nickname. No, it's pretty much a literal hand cannon. The Walker would hold a good sized rifle charge. Really? I didn't know that. It's an interesting story about how Walker had gotten the 5-shot Colt revolver, and it was supposed to be for the Texas Navy. And it was, you guys probably know this, but there was 5-shot cylinders, and you had to load them, preload them, and then slide them on to this rod that would then slide into the chamber. And they eventually were like, look, this is better than the single shot pistols, but there's still a lot of issues. And Walker had been in correspondence with Colt. Colt is in Patterson, yeah, Patterson, New Jersey. And eventually he says, like, listen, let's meet in New York. Let's go over some of the specifics, and we'll iron out the next design for the next revolver. And they do. They go up and meet in New York, and make all these adjustments. And Walker leaves. And before Walker can even use his new revolver, he's killed at the Battle of Huamantla in the Mexican-American War. And it's a brutal, brutal battle. And it really affected his buddies and the Rangers too, because he was like a really looked up to and well-liked guy. And that's where they got the name Walker, Texas Ranger. Let's see. Did you know the Colt Walker is the state gun of Texas? Yeah, is Texas the only state with a state gun? There are a couple other states I could see having a state gun, but I didn't know that Texas had a state gun, but I figured they did. Let's see. Yes, I think. Oh, I didn't know that. And actually, guys, I think I've done this a couple times, but this book is so good. I want to post the early set. I'm gonna post the link to purchase if you guys want to buy it or get it. I don't make anything off of it. It's just a really good book. If you like these kind of stories at all, like I said, you can pick it up and read one story that's, I don't know, 3 to 5 pages. 5 pages would be a long story in this book. Let me get the link for y'all. I'm going to post it in the comments and I'll pin it so it's easy to find. Definitely got to get that book, says Charles. Yeah, man, this is and it's, you can get it for 10, 15 bucks. And it's just one of those, pick it up, pick a story and read it in 10 minutes. And you'll get a lot. And they're firsthand accounts too, which really helps. And it's written in the 1890s, I believe, but it's not written in that Victorian style where it's kind of tedious to read. It's just plain English, and it's easy to get through. Tennessee has the Barrett sniper rifle. Yeah, I figured Tennessee, Montana, maybe Wyoming. There's others that aren't coming to mind, but they would have state. I think I have to say pew pews. Does pew pews not sound more vulgar than the actual word? I feel it's not only ridiculous. I don't feel as ridiculous as it just feels inappropriate. It feels maybe slightly perverted. Let's see. Julie Nelson says yes. Sorry. Julie Nelson, yes to the state pew pew. I'm telling you guys, we got to figure something else out for that. Yeah, if you have any questions on Walker, if you have anything you'd like to know about, like I said, the book, upcoming content, we got Comanche content. This is a Rangers and Comanche heavy week, so I think you guys will like that. Julie Nelson says pew pew. Yeah, it's ridiculous. We love our YouTube overlords. We love them so much, and they could never do anything wrong. But they make it hard to talk sometimes. Pew pew, not PP, says engineer Hickory Stripe Hat. Sure, but it's pew pew sounds close enough, right? I'm just saying. It's not a comfortable thing to say. It doesn't roll off the tongue very nicely. Can you tell us more about that battle where Walker passed? Yeah, sure. We did an episode on it. It was kind of my history with where it was chronologically in the war is gotten a little hazy since then, but early-ish in the Mexican American War, the Rangers had gone down to kind of assist the Marines and the Army as an irregular force. And they were acting as scouts, and then they'd that's why I kind of make the comparison between them and Delta Force because they would act as scouts and then kind of a direct action force during the battle. Like they'd be a hyper aggressive direct action unit during the battle. And Walker had lots of military experience. Him and Hayes and several other Rangers had come from families. They weren't from poor families. They were from families. God, coffee on my mouth. I think that's just the way it is, guys. There we go. Somebody's got to let me know in the chat. Somebody's got to let me know if I got coffee on my mouth in the chat. But they're from military families with proud traditions. So if you look at pictures of them, they're well put together guys. They were familiar with battlefield tactics and strategy. So Walker was usually looked at as a leader, and they had gotten into a house-to-house fight in the streets of Huamantla. They were just going block by block. So I look at it as kind of an Old West Battle of Mogadishu. Like they're just taking one house and then they clear the house out and they take the roof. And meanwhile, there's Mexican army snipers on the other roof. Like it could be light, like across the street. And they're kind of taking cover behind adobe. There'd be like adobe kind of walls, but like parsing off kind of a front lawn area for some of the houses. And they'd hide under those walls. And but they're just getting rained down with cannon fire, sniper fire. Snipers are coming out of windows. It's just it's just crazy, and they're just moving forward, block by block, house by house. And at some point during that, Walker's leading his dudes forward, and he's just outside of one of the houses, and he gets hit by a sniper. And he's not KIA instantly. He keeps fighting. He keeps trying to lead his men, but he eventually knows he's not going to make it, and just tells them, like, keep fighting. But it's a real tragedy. That was a really talented, really smart, really forward-thinking guy, and he's cool looking guy too. He looks really cool. And all the guys who served with him or under him were all just in awe of him. Nobody had a bad word to say about him, which is not terribly common. Like sometimes in Ranger accounts, you'll hear like they won't come out and say the guy was just a dyed-in-the-wool SOB, but they'll say like, "Hey, he was kind of surly" or whatever. You do not hear that about Samuel Walker, and he's just a. I do think he somehow gets overshadowed because people just don't know there was an original Walker Texas Ranger. Like that's who the guy is named after. He looks like the prototype Ranger. He fought and campaigned like the prototype Ranger. All the officers, the other officers, Army officers, Navy officers, Marine officers, were all glowingly complimentary of his battlefield conduct. And I think it's just just a real tragedy. You lost a guy like that so young. I think he was in his mid-20s. He had done all this stuff. He had gone and the Walker Colt that it hadn't arrived yet to the Army and the Navy and the Rangers in Mexico. It would, I believe, 3 weeks later. Something very, very close. Like he never got to use his actual weapon he helped design. But that's another tragedy of it. Like it arrived weeks after he had passed away, and it more than the Patterson Colt, it really just if Patterson Colt was MySpace, Walker Colt was Facebook. It just took what the Patterson Colt had been doing and blew it up, and really just really true because there's I believe two major things with that. No, maybe three. I believe the caliber, the size of the actual weapon, a much longer barrel, much heavier weapon, and the fact that it was 6 shots and a chamber, a revolving chamber that you didn't have to detach. You could reload it while it was still in. What you're familiar with today. Because before then, everyone was like, this is cool, but we can't. You'd have to take a bag of preloaded cylinders, basically, like kind of clips or magazines, I guess you would say. And they would but it's hard to take the cylinder off and then put it in the bag and get a new cylinder. It was just not working, understandably. So he really changed the face of the 19th century battlefield, and it's a real shame he never got to see it. But it's a really brutal battle. You can look it up on our channel or on the channel. Battle of Huamantla, Huamantla. I'm not going to win any Spanish spelling bees. The okay, Louisiana Gray. That's a tough word. The Giguanon is a downsized walker. I've never heard of that. Who made the Dragoon? I'm not sure, Bamadiana. You mean the Dragoons or like the actual sidearm they used? Walker would be the original Dead Man's Walk. I'm not sure what that Dead Man's Walk. I feel like I've heard of that. Not many walkers survived. I don't know. There's what? Clay Walker? I guess not a ton of them, but they made an impact. We can say that. I think an OG Colt Walker is one of the most valuable guns around. They go for millions. Yeah, yeah. I don't live far from a preeminent firearms collector in Austin, a historic firearms collector, and I'm planning to go in there. I think they have one. I'd like to see it. Dead Man. Oh, Dead Man's Walk is a Larry McMurtry. Yeah, okay, I got you. It's a Larry McMurtry book. Star Walker. Bamadiana, I'm not sure what Star Walker is. Star Walker? Walker and Bigfoot Wallace. Yeah, I've got some Bigfoot Wallace stories coming up too. Some on his supposed fight with wolves. I mean, like, I don't know why he would make that up, but he says he got in a fight with a pack of wolves, and there were wolves in Central Texas. It's an interesting story, though. And then he meets how am I blanking on his name? Jeff Turner. They call him Jeff Turner, the Indian hater, and it's hard. It was hard to substantiate his existence, but he was a real guy and a real recluse on the frontier, and people were afraid of him. And Bigfoot Wallace meets up with him, and they go on a raid against the Comanche, and Jeff Turner just goes crazy. Even the Rangers are just like, bro, this guy's wild. Oh, it's from Lonesome Dove, Dead Man's Walk. Is it like a prequel, sequel? I'm kind of blanking on it, but I know the name Dead Man's Walk. I'm just having a brain fart. Surprise, surprise, right? Removing the wedge to remove the cylinder was sort of a problem on horseback. Oh, there's a wedge too? So you had to remove a wedge and then remove a cylinder. Okay, I didn't realize that. Let's see. Everybody make sure they hit the like button, by the way. And if anybody you know is a history fan, share this stream with them. Because what are the chances they aren't going to enjoy it? You know what I mean? That was the first part of this. Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking, Pennsylvania Plowboy. The Dead Man's Walk is like a prequel, right? Best book ever written, Lonesome Dove. My horses are named Augustus McCrae because of that book. Awesome, man. I watched your Jeff Turner series today. Oh, very cool. Yeah, that's one of the ones. Oh, that's one of my favorites because it's such a. I had to track down him being an actual person, but he was, and everybody seems to think like that guy was nuts because he just went like full berserker mode. If the Rangers are going, if Bigfoot Wallace is going like, bro, maybe you should tone it back just a touch, then you really should consider toning it down a touch because these guys are already nuts. And I mean that in like an endearing way. I think the most complimentary thing I can say about a grown man, is that he's crazy. Because I mean that in like the best possible terms. Let's see. When everything's been taken away from you. Oh, yeah. Let me kind of break down Jeff Turner because his family, suppose it's hard again to get the exact numbers right of how many children he had. We do know one wife. But his wife and 2 or 3 children had been massacred while he was out hunting. And this happened on the Guadalupe River. A lot of the 1830s stories happen right in between, seems like present day Victoria and present day Seguin. So in that kind of around Gonzales and Seguin area on the Guadalupe River. It's hard to find information on some of these people that lived years ago. It sucks not much was documented. Yeah, it's hard to find information on your great grandparents. Like my great grandfather was born in 1906, I believe. And he was in the Marines and he went to China, but that's kind of, all we really know. You would today you'd have a much we're just used to very detailed records and everybody having 1,000 pictures of them. But it's like if you know, let's say Robert Johnson, right, the blues man, the originator, not the originator of the blues, but relatively inarguably the godfather of the blues, the greatest blues man ever. There's two pictures of him that we know of, two in all of existence. And then think about how many pictures there are of, I don't know, Sabrina Carpenter, right? There's thousands, maybe millions. And we're used to that now. Or even less than 100 years ago, you might have one picture taken of you in your whole life. You should do a live chat on Jeff Turner. I was thinking about that short stories by Kate. I was just like, well, it's hard to fit in all the tough words on the YouTube terms of service into that story, but I bet you I could do it. We'll do that this week. I was just thinking of that on short notice today, and I wasn't mentally prepared to shuck and jive all the YouTube terms of service with all the things that happen in his story. Super cool. Was your great gramps there during the Boxer Rebellion? I think the Boxer Rebellion was that late 1890s, early 1900s. But no, I believe it was some kind of peacekeeping mission. But even then, that's like kind of speaks to I don't really know. Whereas today, like I said, if you served in the GWAT, you'd have a full service record, and your family and kids and posterity will know what you were doing, even if you were serving on a base in Louisiana or whatever. They'll know that. Like they have records of that, and it's tough to find and stuff. Even 100 years ago, World War One records are like unbelievably hard to suss out sometimes. Streets of Laredo was a good book. Yeah, it's a good book. I've got a whole shelf of Louis L'Amour books here. I grew up on Louis L'Amour more than anybody. You can find his record, man. I can direct you to the services if you want. Yeah, we might talk about that. Haven't looked into it a ton. I just kind of searched here and there throughout the years, but it is I do it for a living too, right? When I try to find, I've tried to do World War One stories, and I thought like, well, it'd be a lot easier to find the actual background of these people. It's still very, very hard. It's like, we're just used to prolific record keeping. Yeah, Charles, if you want to help out, or if you know anything on how to do that, you can hit me up at history at the OK Corral at gmail.com. I'd be interested in seeing if we could find anything on him. His picture looks cool. Like the old Marine uniform and like the 1930s haircuts were cool. Those are kind of balling. If you do genealogy, you know how to find these things. Yeah, I never have done genealogy. It's more kind of like sussing out general stories. And genealogy, my family is a tough one because they've changed the name a bunch of times to avoid legal repercussions for cattle thievery. Long story. I served during the GWAT from Canada. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people don't know Canada, the UK, Australia were involved in the GWAT. I think France, Germany, others I'm leaving out. Poland, I believe. Nice. Let me see. Yeah, where are you in Canada? That's a lot of people don't know much about the Canadian military, and you guys are stout, man. PPCLI. I'm not sure what that means. Very cool though, and I'd like to do more Canadian history because I mean, y'all were in World War One years. I mean, you're under the British protectorate, but years before America was, and you got the Canadian military did some heavy stuff in World War One. Let's see. You have 4 branches of family lines to start with, says Bama Dan. Yeah, I'm talking about really my paternal grandpa. But the other ones we could find out. We could find out. And I think other people in my family know more about it than I do. Who wouldn't know what's the G even for? Oh, fair point, Nick Sweeney. What's the G even for? G is for global. But if you went around and asked the average American citizen, did you know that Canada fought the global war on terror with us? They probably would have a hard time knowing what the global war on terror is if they were under a certain age. But most people don't know that Canada was in World War II or World War One. They just think of it in kind of nationalistic terms, I guess, or solipsistic terms, where it's like, well, we just know America was there. Big fire in 73. We lost 20 million in military records from 1912 to 1960. That's a tragedy. And that's another thing is fire. Fire destroys so many records. A lot of times it isn't that they weren't keeping records. That's fair. They were burned. Let's see. I don't interact with the average Americans. Might be good for your mental health, Nick Sweeney. Might be good for your mental health. Average American citizen couldn't name the second US president, says Charles. I don't know if they could name the first, dog. I'm being kind of serious. I don't know if they could name the first. I talked to a bunch of Gen Z who they're cool, man. I'm cool with Gen Z. I'm not here to rip on them. I'm just saying they're born so far from World War II that they don't really know what time frame it's in. It's like it's all kind of mixed together in their mind, but they don't really even know when it happened. Once Brandon decides to email me back, oh, sorry, man. Okay, I will. If you could see what's going on here, you'd be like, dude, I'm juggling, especially December. I'm juggling a bunch of episodes and I do all this stuff. So not complaining, but I am surprised how fast the day goes by. I will, though. I apologize for that. It's just a lot of spinning plates right now, as everyone has. So, but forgive my tardiness. I will be getting back to you. I'm really grateful for everybody that's emailing me. That's great to hear from a lot from you guys. That's awesome. It's the most I've ever heard from anybody. All through the episodes I put out, I haven't gotten a single email, and now I've gotten dozens of them. So that's great. No, I know Arizona boy, but it's a deserved hard time, bro. You should give me a hard time. That's how you know you're boys. You know what I mean? Let's see. Nick Sweeney, though, that's a good point, dog. Like, what is the G even for? Who wouldn't know? I like your thinking there. I like that. Princess Patricia's Canadians, light infantry, all that information should be online. We have a virtual war memorial in Canada. Very cool, man. I'm glad you made it here. I believe, I might be wrong, but I believe you're the first Canadian that we've had here. You're the first Canadian veteran. Absolutely. Canada is like that now. Most young people know nothing of our history. When I was a kid, we learned American history and Canadian because our countries used to be so intertwined, says Will Money. Yeah, it's just not part of their worldview. They kind of just know what's happening in their own little world, you know. But I think more and more young people, Gen Z, are getting more and more interested in history because it helps them contextualize the crazy world they live in right now. What do average Canadians think of America now? Asks Charles. Boy, that's a loaded question, bro. Let's see. Let's see. I don't have your email. Oh, you don't have Bama's email address? What I can do is just forward it to you because Bama Deanna has emailed me before, so you don't have to give it out on the stream. But yeah, that's really cool. I'm really fascinated, honestly, with the Canadian military in World War One, World War II. They hit a beach and you guys hit Juneau, right? In D-Day? On D-Day? I'm an average Canadian and we love America, love the USA. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you fellas. Right on, man. That's a really cool thing to say. I did want to add, you started the streams. I don't think anyone knew how to. Brandon, I want to add. Oh yeah, I wanted to add before you started the streams. I don't think anyone knew how to contact you. Yeah, that's fair. I didn't take offense to it. The email was under was on the descriptions and on the channel, but yeah, I mean, I don't take offense to it. I'm more pleasantly surprised with how many people have emailed me from the stream. It's so much better, more relaxing when at Terry, you know who isn't stalking the chat. He's just, from what I understand, he's taking a day off. It's not a rebuilding situation; it's a reloading situation. You know. Okay, yeah, Bama Deanna, I will send him your email. That'll be the safest, easiest way to do that for sure. The average citizen doesn't know what EMS stands for, even though they see us. Are you? Yeah, that's right. I knew you were in EMS, Stephen. Yeah, they don't know what it means, even though they use you every day. Don't take any offense though, because I don't think they know what a lot of acronyms mean. And like I said, honestly, the Gen X, there's Gen Z, I get that mixed up a lot, but I talk to quite a few of them and they're cool. Like they get a bad rap. I think everybody gets a bad rap, especially now. We go, oh, it's a millennial, oh, it's a Gen X. And it's like there's cool people in every generation. We took Juneau, yeah, in D-Day. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, y'all have played a major role. Eastern Mountain Sports, is that EMS? I think you're right, Nick Sweeney. Were the Comanche as prolific at hand-to-hand fighting as they were on horseback? I've read some accounts that they weren't like the best at the hand-to-hand aspect of it, but I don't know. I wonder if that's just um, kind of like a Texan kind of jab at a Texan who fought them, a kind of jab at they're trying to get their shots in, you know. But they did a lot of their training. Like Herman Lehman talks about being forced into these basically a wrestling match, like not an MMA match, but they would just dress the guys up, like the 13 to 16-year-old boys. They'd like, give them like a fight outfit, and the older men would stand around taking bets, and they would basically wrestle, like not full punches thrown. And there wasn't doesn't seem like there was an exact rule set other than get the guy to the ground. But they did that quite a bit, and you just grow up tough. So I would wager that they were pretty darn good at it. I think it helps you interacting with all of us. We know, yeah, we know I'm a real person. I got all kinds of accusations of being an AI voice, so I thought let's prove I'm real. It would be bad if a bunch of Gen Z had to defend our country. Yeah, I don't know if I don't know. I don't know. I I I would say I wouldn't count on it, but the ones I've met are cool. So I don't want to rag on them too much. Let's see. Anybody else have any questions on anything we covered? Anything that's coming up? Like I said, a lot of Comanche and Ranger stuff coming up. So that's I think, our bread and butter. So we're really hammering that for the next week. It's my favorite subject, if you couldn't tell. But I'm big on the mountain men and the Blackfoot too. I have a real fascination with the Blackfoot. I think you're an AI face, honestly. At this point, I could be, but I'm not. I'm not. But I like that you've got your head on a swivel, Nick Sweeney. Can't trust anything. Though I'm thinking, I don't know. I'm wondering, I think AI is getting close to kind of collapsing on itself, because it's not that impressive, to be honest. And I think you're going to see a lot of just my take on it is you're going to see a lot of the public funding for, or the funding for it, not public funding, but the funding for it is going to get severely restricted pretty soon. I think you're an AI face. I got that. They would be afraid of getting their feelings hurt. Maybe. It's an odd thing too, because it's even in combat sports. Like I watch a lot of combat sports, and these kids are really good because they can watch so much of it. They can watch their sport online. They can go to they can watch a bunch of different coaches. So in a lot of these sports, football, wrestling, MMA, it's like, wow, they are way better than guys like at their sport. Like I would say wrestling and MMA is a good example. They're way ahead of where guys were in the mid 90s or early 2000s. But yeah, a lot of times they do kind of lack that old school grit, I guess we could say. That's fair, right? You got that coffee, yeah, dude. You got that coffee haze hairstyle, dude. I kind of do. I didn't even think about that. It's not as good though. That bro had some sweet lettuce. I think the Gen Z guys are going to turn things around. They seem to know they've been skinned. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. Yeah, Will Money. I would go more towards that route. I would go more towards that route. They seem to be getting hip to some important stuff. Do you use AI to help with your no, man. Do you use it to help write scripts? No, it sucks. It's just I tried to use it for research, and I would have it like experimentally say like, "Oh, write me 500 words," or you know what I mean? Write me something on Quanah Parker, and it would just be crap. It would just be Quanah Parker was born to he had the wrong dad. He'd be born in the wrong place. And it would just be little details. Like the rest, 80% of it would be right, but the 20% that was wrong was so glaringly wrong that it was like, this is useless. It's got its uses that you can use it to help get ideas. But it's just like a little bit better Google. AI ain't going nowhere. That is like saying the internet will collapse. I think it's not that it's going to go away. It's just going to become cost prohibitive, because I think the investors are going to see they're going to see that it's hitting its limits, and then they're gonna pull their funding. And if the investors pull their funding, they can't make it as publicly available. So it'll be just very, very expensive, and you won't see as many people using it. Salute to doing your own hard works. And Bama, that's just my take on it. Obviously, I could be wildly misguided. Short Stories by Kate says, salute to doing your own hard work. Yeah, you know what? I think that's kind of it'll pay off, I think, because it's if you don't take the shortcut, I think especially in history, that's a big thing. Elon Musk will take care of them. Maybe he lives here somewhere. I know that his neighbors in Austin have a big to do with him because he won't trim his hedges. He would rather just pay the fine. So people in his neighborhood aren't happy. Oh, your kids and your MMA nonsense. When we were children, we used to call it what it was: kick and punch, rolling, knife fighting. That was back in the day, though. You know what I mean? And they had to streamline it to get it onto a sports center. So I get what you're saying, and you're not wrong. And the game has gotten a little different, but we had to clean it up a little bit. Even in the early 90s, they weren't using knives, but in the mid 90s, it was like if you watched the UFC, people thought you were crazy. And I was like 10 or 12 years old. My parents were just like, what is this kid watching? I had AI make me a solar power setup. If I were actually to use what AI gave me, I would have burned my house down. Yeah. I did have it give me a bread recipe. I was like, oh, I'm going to try breaking. And I had a cookie recipe, like sugar cookies. They were pretty good. That wasn't bad. But like all that money and funding for serviceable cookie recipes, like, I don't know. I watch wrestling. Oh yeah, man. Wrestling is pro wrestling. Pro wrestling to me is the highest form of art in the world. It's got everything of great every great facet of every medium of art smashed into one thing. Now it's like they're trying to spell mama. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not the biggest UFC fan right now. I just don't find it all that enthralling. I'm more of a boxing fan right now. Though we're going to see Jake Paul, I think, get smashed by Anthony Joshua. We'll see. Wrestling, says Bama Deanna, and wrestling, especially in the South. If you were around in the early '80s for wrestling in the South, I'm jealous. I'm super jealous. I watched that on YouTube today, like all the old matches and promos. They just had a great bunch of guys. The Fabulous Thunderbirds, the Von Erichs, Dusty, Ric Flair. That's just a few. The Four Horsemen, Arn Anderson. Early UFC was way more violent in the day. Nobody passed away in MMA for many, many years, and nobody in the UFC has ever passed away, which is a point in their favor because boxers pass away. I think there's like a dozen maybe boxers a year that pass away. I always thought it was odd too because my dad is a pro bull rider, like a PRCA, the highest level of bull riding. That's what he did for a long time. And he would just go like, "How are you watching this? Like, this is so violent." And it was like, compared to bull riding, have you seen it? Have you ever watched it? Like, people get unalived all the time. There's no rodeo where like almost all the guys aren't hurt. So I always thought like, well, this is nothing compared to that, but it just was never his bag. Gervonta Davis, dude, Jake Paul, what happened to him? He backed out of the Jake Paul fight or whatever. And he's giving up 50 pounds. But now Jake Paul is going to go up against Anthony Joshua. Like, what are you doing, dude? There's like a 0% chance that's going to work out unless it's fixed. Let's see. But I think they're both making 10 mil, something like that. But even for 10 mil, I'm not getting in there against Anthony Joshua. But yes, Bama Deanna, if you were around in the early 70s, anywhere in that time frame, super jealous. I was around for the Attitude Era in WWF. May not get any better. That's up there too. That's the next best thing. But today, I don't know. It's not my thing today either. But it'll come back. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, pro wrestling, I think, is just like top of the pops. Like, what more do you want? People that don't like it, I don't understand what they don't like. It's got everything that you would want in entertainment wrapped up into one. Joshua will smoke him. Yeah, it's just going to be, I don't know why that fight was even made unless it's fixed. Exactly. Exactly. Because that Tyson fight was like they were sparring. It was like I don't know. Tyson's 58, and that's sure, but it's still Mike Tyson, and it didn't seem like they were doing it for real. Yeah, I don't trust it. Isn't fixed now. Me neither. There's been all those betting scandals. Like there's a lot of smoke for there not to be any fire. Let's see. Make sure I'm not missing anything. I got that. Got a lot of AI hate. We got some MMA talk, some pro wrestling talk. Oh, Stephen Miller says, I teach Gen Z students in EMS courses, and most are good people. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. We got a lot of Gen Z at my church that are cool guys. Just around Austin, I've met several. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I like them more than millennials. I never liked millennials. Maybe there's a lot of them watching right now. And no offense to you, like I'm a millennial myself. I'm a millennial. I'm born in 85, so smack dab in the middle of millennial, and I can't stand them. I never liked our music. I don't like our shows. I don't like hardly any of it. So, there's that. And I think millennials get a hard time too. But if I had to pick, I'm going Gen Z. That Tyson Paul kissing match was a shameful disgrace. It was no good, man. It was no good. It just really looked fake. Tyson let him last the distance to get a paycheck. Yeah, that's what I think. I think that just seemed glaringly obvious there. Michael Pack NW says we're in an AI bubble. Current valuations, business plans call for the RAM and CPUs to be depreciated over 6 years. They will need to be upgraded in 2 years to stay competitive. Yeah, we're in an AI bubble. 100% agree. The music, come on now, HOKC. Millennial music, I don't hate it all, man. Like I like what I grew up on. Like I like 50 Cent, Dr. Dre, Nelly, Eminem. I liked all. I don't sit around and listen to this stuff anymore, but at the time, yeah, I liked Limp Bizkit. Lincoln Park was a dope band, guys. Lincoln Park was a great band. Who else? Creed. I thought Creed was kind of cringe at the time, and now I'm like, oh, that was a pretty good guitar player. But boomers have the best music. I think that's pretty clear. ICP, whoop whoop. Elite Superground. I probably told you this, but I was a bouncer. I was a bouncer doorman at a club here in town on 7th Street, and we did 2 ICP shows, I believe. And there was so much Fago that we had to replace the carpet on the stage, and they shot a Fago bottle into the ceiling. Like we couldn't get it out. Really nice people. All the juggalos were super nice, but it really smelled like Fago there for a solid month. It's weird because I'm a millennial, but literally the last year you could be one. Okay, yeah, 90 or something like that. I feel stuck in the middle of millennial and Gen Z. Yeah, there's a lot of people like that. And we just love our generational designations nowadays, but like in the end, people are people. Speaking of boxing, ever look into Wyatt Earp and the fixed boxing matches and that made him infamous? Yeah, yeah. Man, that'd be a good thing to do a live stream on, actually. Because Wyatt Earp was in the game. Bat Masterson was a referee at several world title fights. He was a sports writer in for the New York Times for a while. Short Stories by Kate says Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings. Oh yeah, I mean I've listened to all that my whole life. I'm from Merle Haggard territory. So Merle Haggard is he's like the Pope in the Central Valley. Like he's I went to a Merle Haggard show in Fresno, and Fresno has a lot of gang activity. The local gang is called the Bulldogs, and there was a local clearly gang member next to me. He had like the Bulldog sweater on, a bunch of hats. He was crying. He was crying at Merle Haggard. Like he was just weeping at Merle Haggard. And it's like, yeah, that's the guy where we're from. I think the best singer in country music history. And it just all of his songs have amazing progressions, very jazz influenced, and just the Frank Sinatra of country. Can you do a video on Billy Dixon's autobiography? That's a good idea. And another on Teddy Blue Abbott. Good ideas. We pointed them north, and another on George Coe. You know what? I'm going to screenshot that because I can't write all that down, Will Money. But yes, short answer, yes, I'm screenshotting that, and we'll get a live stream on those done. Good call, man. Alice in Chains and Red Hot Chili Pepper. Yep, for sure. I was really into the Red Hot Chili Peppers when I was super young. And that's another one. My dad was just like, what the hell is this? These guys are jumping around in their underwear. And I was like, no, trust me, it's cool. Will Money with the $1 super chat. Thanks, man. I had to like read, it has a CA in front of it. So it's like it's written differently than normal. Thank you so much, Will Money, man. You're the man, dude. And thank you for your service to Canada. I think I can say that, right? 96 is the last year of millennials. Okay, okay. Yeah, I guess I'm born in the early-ish because I think it goes whatever it goes to, but I'm early-ish millennial. There is hope for Gen Alpha, the most base generation since Xers. Masculinity will make a comeback. I think so, man. I think so. Julie Nelson says, gotta run. Enjoy the rest of the live stream. Great job, HOKC. Well, thank you for coming by, Julie Nelson. Really appreciate that. A longtime supporter. We really appreciate that. Glad to have you all here on a Sunday night. I didn't know if that many people would show up. Let's see. Some folks say I look like Merle Haggard, says engineer. You lucky dog. His son, Ben, if you haven't seen Ben Haggard, do yourself a favor if you're a Merle Haggard fan and look him up. He looks a lot like Merle, sings just like him. One of the best country guitar players in the world right now. Billy Joe Shaver says, Will Money, that's my favorite songwriter, him and Roger Miller. Geniuses, literal, like, I don't know, Rain Man, not literally like that, but like Rain Man level genius, Mozart level genius. I mean that. I mean literally Mozart level genius. Someone, Nick Sweeney says, seems one can find a juggalo in any room full of warm bodies. Maybe, but I get it. They get a bad rap, but the juggalos I interacted with, I don't know, man, probably literally thousands, all over 1,000 different types of crowds. And the juggalos are one of the nicest, just very, very nice people. And I walked Nick Jonas from his bus to the stage one time, and I've never seen that many screaming like 15, 16-year-olds. It was a little disconcerting. It was like, he wasn't even into it. He's like, man, you know what I mean? Wyatt Earp and boxing matches. Got to do a deep dive on that one. Yeah, for sure. It's Wyatt Earp and Bat Masterson. Boxing in the Old West was mostly illegal. So when it really started picking up in the 1890s with its legality, they jumped right in. These guys knew where there was money to be made. Sometimes the only thing that the Red Hot Chili Peppers wore was a well-placed sock. Yeah, you get it, Bama Deanna. Yeah, was that Woodstock? They did that maybe a couple times. Yes, I've read those. I'd love to see you get those done. Yeah, dude, no worries, Will Money, for sure. That's a great name, too. I like that. Will Money. Rush, CCR, The Who, old time country music is the best, for sure. You know who I'm really getting into is Free with Paul Rogers, Paul Kossoff. I should never, Simon Kirk. They're kind of the pre-Bad Company, but their guitar player, Paul Kossoff, is absolutely amazing. They're all very young, like in their early 20s. Absolutely amazing. It's kind of like a Jane's Addiction of the late 60s, early 70s, where it's a slow build. Every song is kind of like, what's going on here? And by the end of it, you're like, I think this is the greatest band of all time. And you can see how many band, when you listen to them, you're like, oh, there'd be no Leonard Skinner without Free. No doubt it'd be a completely different band without Free because of the way their groove and their guitar style playing, and they're only a 4-piece band, but what they're doing just influenced so many bands so heavily. And it's like, it's a shame they aren't more well known. And Grand Funk Railroad, come on. If you don't like Grand Funk Railroad, I don't know what to do with you. Billy Joe is a genius, man. Absolutely. Like a legitimate, most inspiring songwriter I know. That's once I heard Honky Tonk Heroes, I listened to it for weeks on end because I just thought like Old Five and Dimers, Omaha, obviously Honky Tonk Heroes. There's just one guy wrote all those songs. Yeah, it's hard not to get choked up talking about Billy Joe Shaver, man. A legitimate genius that I don't think people know enough. Do you like Greta Van Fleet? I don't know. Sometimes I think I have a hard time with them. They are just like so indivorceable from the Led Zeppelin aesthetic that I have to listen to more of them and be more charitable with them. Because when I hear them, I'm like, these are good musicians and they are doing their own thing. But it's hard sometimes. I think a lot of my favorite band is the Black Crowes, and I think it's the same thing with them. They were like, oh, they sound just like the Stones and the Faces, and it's like, well, if you give them some time, they are just a fantastic band. And I think Greta Van Fleet could be that for me as well. But I got to give them a more honest shot, I would say. I haven't been charitable enough with them. Let's see. Rush is the greatest thing Canada's ever given us, the world. I am not disagreeing, but I would take Bachman Turner Overdrive. Hmm? That's controversial, huh? You guys know, oh, how am I blanking on his name? Uh, he's one of my favorite country guys, and now I'm blanking on his name from Canada, from Alberta. Not Coulter Wall, who I like Coulter Wall. Maybe somebody in the chat will know him. I cannot believe I'm blanking. I'll think of it in a second. Billy Joe's a genius, 100%. No red clay strays yet. Oh no, it's a good point. I haven't. Let me write that down. Bam, Indiana. I forgot to do that. Rush, got that. Since we're talking about great music, have y'all heard Charlie Crockett? Yeah, Charlie Crockett's good, man. He's got a good stage presence and good songs. Shooter, we're talking about who said Shooter? Shooter looks a lot like his father. He does. He just put out Songbird by Waylon, which is becoming one of my favorite Waylon albums. It's a bunch of lost cuts. And I think Shooter is one of the greatest artists I've heard in the 21st century. I've seen him live. Absolutely amazing. I have all of his albums. And I think he's the greatest producer in country music right now. I think he's the guy. He produced Charlie. I'm getting my names mixed up here. Charlie Crockett. He's produced Red Clay Strays, I believe. He's produced Jason Isbell. He's produced everybody. Duff McKagan. BTO, get back to me when you can make sense. Hey, man. I know they're not musicianship wise, they're not Rush, but catchy songs wise. Come on, taking care of business. Core Blund, that's who I was thinking of. Will Money, yeah, Core Blund, dude, one of my favorites. Hurtin' Albertan, dude, come on, great song. I want to be in the cavalry. I do not know that, but I will write it down. I want to be cavalry. Cool. Have y'all heard the new Guns N' Roses songs they just put out? Tyler Childers, yeah, absolutely. When I have to talk about guys, my name kind of goes blank, but Tyler Childers, absolutely. I haven't really heard. I know there's a big beef between Gavin Adcock and Zach Bryan, but I don't really know those guys. There's a guy named Zach Top, though, I believe is his name. Fantastic. He's really coming up in the game. Let's see. Foxy Shazam? I don't know Foxy Shazam. I'm saying Childers all wrong. What is it? Childers? Tyler Childers? $10 Cowboy is my theme song. That's another good one. I want to be in the cavalry is 2 parts. The second part, the reprise, is a dirge. They have to eat their own horses. Really? Very interesting. Yeah, dude. Core Blonde is up there. He doesn't get enough love in America. Guns N' Roses saved my life once in Cambodia. Did they really? Greta evolved a lot from Zeppelin clone. They did, but I mean, the Rolling Stones were a Muddy Waters clone. Merle Haggard was a Lefty Frizzell clone. Uh, it's everybody's just trying to be somebody else until they finally get their own sound, but it takes a while. Zach Top is awesome, dude. Awesome, great singer, fantastic guitar player. He has a good nose for songs. Let's see, got that. Core Blund is a Canadian. He ties history and horses very well. Yeah, he does. He does. Billy Joe Shaver's son was an amazing guitar player. I know, a real tragedy too. I believe he passed away from an overdose. And however genius his dad was in writing songs, that guy was his genius in playing guitar. Zach Top is all got that. Hope you make YouTube channel that could be an HOKC clone. Well, I'm making another channel in January that'll be like conspiracy specific, so we don't get too far off topic. In the I wanted to make a music history one too, because I know a lot of music history. I've read probably more music history books than I have history books. Let's see. Didn't Sitting Bull flee into Alberta? Yeah, for a second. Then I think he came back after Little Bighorn. Yeah. We have a story in Alberta that he came up here. They left because it was too cold. I believe that is true. And then in Alberta, they had the Battle of Belly River not long before that. And we talked a little bit about, I think in the Blackfoot Chiefs live stream, we talked about that. So if you haven't seen that, Will Money, check that one out. Drake Milligan, country music. When you have time, take a listen. Says Short Stories by Kate. I have not heard that name. I'm going to write that down. Drake Milligan. Very cool. I get hit with a lot of cool music on here too. I will compete with you on music history anytime you want. Not a competition, Bama Deanna. I'm just saying, like, I put a lot of that was my like go-to entertainment for a long time. Mostly like classic rock, but a lot of country too. Waylon's biography is probably my favorite. If you haven't read it, great biography. Great. It's an autobiography, but fantastic. Keith Richards, Slash, Ronnie Wood's book. Merle Haggard has two books, but My House of Memories is is my favorite. Um, there's a bunch of others I got in the bookshelves here. I haven't read one in a while, but that was a 5, 6 year period where all I did was read music biographies. But you probably honestly like I wouldn't compete with you, Bamadiana. Well, is it true that Alberta wants to join the I've heard that Alberta wants to join the US. Bamadiana says, I am familiar with all genres of music. I do not doubt it. I do not doubt it. I've been through a phase with most genres of music. At this point, I'm one of those people like I know everybody says they listen to everything. It's like, I don't really mean that, but I listen to a lot of different stuff. Big in the Bee Gees right now. Big in the Bee Gees. You should be dancing. Great song. Come on. What a song. Let's see. Catching up on the chat here. Also, Stone Temple Pilots, guys. Too many people sleep on Stone Temple Pilot. Too many people sleep on the DeLeo brothers. Too many people sleep on Scott Weiland. What an amazing frontman. Enjoyed the symphony as well. Very cool. Austin has a symphony that's doing a show for Christmas. I need to go see some more classical music in Austin. There's quite a bit. Need to get a haircut first, but let's see. Got that. Okay. Do you have a favorite type of music, Mamadiana? I just got if you've ever been to Half Price Books, they have a lot of like $1, $2 records. And I got a Chuck Mangione record, which is fantastic. Really, really good. And Talking Heads, great live record. Jack White, pop to rock to bluegrass. True. Yeah. He was into like blues kind of first too. He plays a lot of open tunings and slide guitar. He's he's a good blues historian, really good blues historian. And I think Detroit gives you like a certain thing in your music, you know. And I've been I'm the most into Iggy Pop that I've been. This is the peak of my Iggy Pop experience so far. Let's see. Will Money, yes, Alberta and Saskatoon, lots of worry about the lefty Canadians. Yeah, that's a rough up there, dude. Have you heard this? Have you heard this is a little off topic, but Will Money, do you know the song A Little Bit South of Saskatoon from Slapshot? We got to get Gen Z on Slapshot, you guys. I swear they will love Slapshot. Morgan Wallen is the best artist to bless this earth. Hey, Arizona boy, I thought you were a Morgan Wallen guy. So, well, we got Bob Seger from Detroit. Bob Seger is a monster, dude. I kind of thought Bob Seger was all like night moves, which just never was my vibe. But then I started listening to Ramblin' Gamblin' Man. What is happening here? $20 super chat from Short Stories by Kate, Half Price Bookstore Fund. Thank you so much. That'll be put to work just on the books. I buy the records myself. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That makes the stream possible. Thank you. I've been in front row for Windy O and the Romeros. Very nice. I've been big into this for Prince's 1990, maybe 1992 Las Vegas run. Does a fantastic medley of Cream, 3 songs that I can't, but it's a little R-rated. Okay, put that out there so nobody gets surprised. But it's 12 minutes long. It's amazing. It's with the Revolution. No. It's with who's the band he had after the Revolution? I'm blanking on it. Bamadiana says, I had the first album I ever owned was Elvis Presley, Aloha from Hawaii. Bama, you're so cool, Bamadiana. That's one of my favorite shows. That's one of the first records I really remember hearing. My dad's a big Elvis guy. Everybody in my family likes Elvis. And I think Elvis is coming back. People are Gen Z is seeing this Elvis swag and they want part of it. No, I know you're kidding, Arizona boy. I will say he does have a few good songs. Yeah, I think I don't know, if you're a really good musician or music fan, you should be able to pick something, not out of every song, but most songs, you should be able to find one thing where you're like, "Oh, that's pretty good." Nobody has every song that they have just sucks. Maybe, but not a lot of people. That was yeah, I get that. Let's see. I'm making sure I'm caught up on the chat. Got that. Make sure we're all caught up here with you. Okay. There's a lot of chats in here, guys. Thank you. Oh, okay. Foxy Shazam. That's tough for me to say. Foxy Shazam has somewhat of a modern Queen feel. Highly recommend. Cool. All right. All right. That's a good band name. I like that. Foxy Shazam. Cool. I've been front row for Wendy. Okay, got that. Very cool. My first album was Kiss Live. That's a good one. That's a good one. What y'all know about Sturgill Jennings? I don't know about Sturgill Jennings. Sturgill Simpson? Plowboy, BR549, dude. What a first cool CD. What a great band. Yeah, I think you mean Sturgill Simpson, Arizona boy. Big fan. His guitar playing just gone through the roof in the last 4 or 5 years. They are doing things. He's doing things. What I like about him is that he's doing things that nobody's done yet. Like he's covering, so he covered Welcome to the Jungle, all kinds of stuff. Even if it doesn't, some people don't like it, but it's like, well, that's you're pushing the boundaries. That's what you're there for. My bad. Arizona boy says, "Oh, you just messed up a name, dude. It happens. I do it all the time. That's why we have Nick Sweeney here to hold me to account." 34 people here and 39 likes. Man, thank you guys so much. That helps so much. Oops. I actually am supposed to be somewhere. Oh, my mom texted me to wipe my mouth. Thanks, Mom. A little late, but very good. Nobody in the chat has my back. Letting me sit here look like a derelict. Bama says I've seen ZZ Top 3 times, Leonard Skinner 3 times, Eagles 3 times. Man, I just missed seeing ZZ Top open for Guns N' Roses, which would have been awesome. And I got there late because San Antonio traffic is rough. Seeing Skinner and the Allman Brothers in San Diego, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Both bands. Eagles 3 times. I have not seen the Eagles, and I totally would. Big fan. I like both Hanks. Absolutely. Absolutely. Same here. I think Hank Williams is look, Jimmy Rogers is the godfather, right? But Hank Williams is the GOAT. Like Hank Williams, I don't think who's going to do country music better than that? You have a better song than I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry? Like you don't. You don't. That's as good as it's ever going to get, and we're lucky that we get to see it. Black Crowes open for ZZ Top. Yeah, they got kicked off that tour. Chris is such a I don't think I can say S head sometimes. At least he was back then because he was like they got kicked off the ZZ Top tour for criticizing the Miller Lite beer sponsor because we don't want corporations sponsoring music. Which, hey man, have at it. I saw Kiss, AC/DC, and Neil Young. That's an interesting lineup. Last concert I went to was Roy Clark and was one of the youngest people that. Dude, Roy Clark is a beast. Top man, he's up there for top guitar players. If we all super chat you $100, you can go see Rush. Hey man, we get that much in, I'll go see Rush. I would go see Rush for free. Top, just really amazing musicians. They're so good sometimes that it's hard to understand what's going on, like what you're seeing. My last concert was Tom Petty. Man, what another legend. I just watched a video of him not long ago doing him and his band covered "Traveling Light" by J.J. Cale. Just made like a 12-minute version, and they made every minute count. Rush is awesome. Glad I saw them before those prices. Yeah, the Stones are still out there. AC/DC is still out there. Metallica is still out there, but it's a little cost prohibitive. I would look to go back to 1967 and see the Monterey Pop Festival, see Janis Joplin. I would see Otis Redding there. Let's see. Can't Turn You Loose from 1967 Monterey Pop that's my favorite Otis Redding. That's my favorite. Concerts in general are high priced now. They are. Yeah, they are. They hired a new drummer. Fortunately, all of the good music already had been written. Yeah, sometimes, but I mean, that's how music goes. You have like a high point, and then I don't think a lot of people get back to that. The Stones seem to, but I saw Bo Diddley in concert. Wow. Bo Diddley's another monster. Have you seen the famous picture of him frying chicken backstage? He's just like making a full meal before he goes out there. He still has his guitar on, but he's been doing this so long. It's just like another day for him. So he's like making food for the band. Going to hip hop, I still love listening to Lil Wayne and Kid Cudi. Yeah, dude, for sure. Like I didn't get into Lil Wayne at the time, and I have since. I'm like, oh, this is dope. This is cool. A mouthful of shrooms would make Rush make all the sense in the world to you. Fair enough, but you're gonna get us on a watch list talking like that, Nick Sweeney. But I'm not disagreeing. The last concert I went to was Yellow Wolf. Oh, cool, cool, cool. That venue was. I left that venue not being able to talk. Yeah, I like Yellow Wolf. I like some Lightfoot, like Gordon Lightfoot for sure, dude. They just had the passing of the oh my gosh, what's the name of the SS Fitzgerald? That just happened. I don't know what, a couple weeks ago, the anniversary. Jerry Lee Lewis opening for Chuck. Oh wow, very cool, very cool, very cool. I was watching a video on Prince opening for the Stones and what a disaster it was in the early 80s. That was cool to see. I know Skinner opened for Black Sabbath and got booed off the stage in the very early 70s, maybe 74. I was checking in his hotel room at the Horseshoe and Tunica at the same time as him. Oh, really? As Bo Diddley? Wow. Tunica, is that Tunica, Mississippi? I get kind of the geography down in the Southeast mixed up a little bit. Let's see. All right. So we're at an hour and a half, guys, and I was supposed to be somewhere, which I kind of forgot about. Oh, I really like the music talk. Let me hold on. I'm gonna send a text real quick because I'm a little late, but we're gonna just push on through here. Can't talk and text at the same time. Sorry. All right. Let's see. Skinner opened for the Allman Brothers Band. I saw the opposite. I actually saw them in 2006, I believe. And the Allmans opened for Skinner, which is a little like, oh, no. No, Skinner did open for the Allmans. I'm misremembering that. And at the time, I was such a huge Skinner fan that I was like, well, why is Skinner opening for the Allmans? And then when I went and saw the Allmans, I got really into the Allmans because it was like, well, this is a great show. And like, I fully got it. But if the Allmans had gone on first, like it would have taken 3 hours of jamming and it wouldn't work as a vibe. And then Skinner comes out. It's like Skinner comes out, they play their 2 hour set, they finish with Freebird. Everybody freaks out. And there was one guy that was like, they walked off the stage after Sweet Home Alabama. And one guy next to me got on his chair next to me and started yelling for Freebird, but like angrily, like they weren't going to play it. It's like, bro, they're going to play it. You know what I mean? Just chill out. This is what they do. Like you're not going to go to the one Skinner show ever that didn't finish with Freebird, but he was very worried. And then as soon as Skinner walked off, there was, I mean this literally, there was a cloud of smoke that came up above the crowd. Like, I mean, seriously, like it just hung over the crowd. The Allman Brothers end up opening for Skinner later. Yeah, I believe that's right. After Dwayne passed away. And Freebird isn't all about Dwayne. I'm a huge Dwayne fan, don't get me wrong, but I think that's a little bit of an urban legend. Last live show I caught was King Joe Carrasco. Our table won the Gritto contest, and he almost stepped on my cigarette walking on the tables. That's a good show. That's a good show. You got your money's worth. All right, let's see. I think we're caught up on the chat. Anybody have any other bands you want me to check out? I got a Monday full of work, so I can listen to some music while we're grinding away here. Like I said, my suggestion for you guys is Free. Go check out Free, not just All Right Now. Check out Mr. Big. Check out Mr. Big by Free. It's a slow burn, but you're gonna be happy with it. Wow, Will Money with a $14 super chat. Thank you so much, man. It was great chatting with you all. God bless Canada and God bless America. Thank you. Absolutely agree with that. The world needs you guys. Thank you for everything you guys have given us, man. Thank you, man. Really appreciate it. We love Canada here. I'll say that. We love Canadians. So thanks, man. Really appreciate that. Have a good night. Go get some rest. Well deserved. My last concert was Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood, mid to late 80s. Nice, dude. Nice. That's a good concert. That's when they were kicking. Nothing beats, yeah, Kickstart My Heart, Dr. Feelgood. If I had to get a third one in there, man. My third one is going to be, I have to think about that, guys. Free recorded music, most of their music at Muscle. Yeah, free recorded most of their music at Muscle Shoals. Yep, Muscle Shoals, yes. Muscle Shoals has got the Swampers. They've been known to pick a song or two. I grew up in Alberta. And Muscle Shoals fits the free vibe perfectly. I grew up in Alberta back when things were great. Really? Yeah, I would say the same thing about Canada. I would say the same thing about California. I grew up in California when it was awesome. Now, not so much. Nautical Disaster by the Tragically Hip is about the Edmund Fitzgerald. I didn't know that. It's a haunting song, one of the great songs written about water disaster. Nautical Disaster. Cool. Another song I would suggest before we get out of here is you guys probably all know it, but is it Life During Wartime by the Talking Heads? What a jam, you guys. What a jam. You ought to know not to stand by the window. Somebody see you up there. Out in the hillside, the guns are loaded. Everything's ready to go. It's such a good song. There's so many random lyrics in there. It's very post-apocalyptic. Let's see. So yeah, guys, I would certainly check out Free. And if you want a fun one, check out Kid Rock at the Woodstock 99. Even his first song, Ba Wada Ba. Okay, listen. Everybody has their feelings about Kid Rock. Okay, but if you want to see a showman at the top of his game, that's what we're talking about there. Absolutely amazing. Nick Sweeney, have you heard of McKee's Rock in Canada? I have not heard of that. All right, let's see. Good chat tonight, guys. We got a lot of cool stuff in here. I love Kid Rock, says Happy Cappy. Dude, this show was amazing. If you love Kid Rock and you haven't seen this, do yourself a favor, dude. It's so good. And this is back in the Joe C era too. So Joe C's there. Even the band intro, they spend like 2 or 3 minutes getting this jam going, and he walks out with a full white fur coat and a fedora. It's so good. It's amazing. Limp Bizkit's set from there is legendary. Joe Cocker has a great set from 94 Woodstock. Seems like a lot of people don't even know what's going on. He just comes out and starts ripping it. It's so good. I believe the band had a reunion there too. Let's see. Bama Deanna knows Free. That's what's up, Bama. I saw ZZ Top with Bad Company. Cool. Honestly, I like Free more than Bad Company, but Free has made me like Bad Company more. Because Paul Rogers, you can't get better than that. What a voice. This guy's got, I would take right now where I'm at in this particular era, and I never thought I would say this, I would take Paul Rogers over Rod Stewart. What are we saying here? I know. And don't hold me to that. That's just where I'm at right now. But whoa. I was busy in 94, says Happy Cappy. I was too. I was busy being like 8. Let's see. You would take Bama Deanna, you would take Paul Rogers over Rod Stewart, which is heresy in the house that I come from. Rod Stewart is on a wall like Kim Jong-un. Correct. Yeah, I agree with you, Bama. I agree with you. Like, just and it's like he's not even trying. He's just kind of like doing it. It's so good. And everybody in Free is so good and so minimalist. They're not overplaying anything. They're playing like very, very few notes, and they're like 20. I think Simon Kirk is like 17. It's like young kids want to play tons of notes. They want to overdo everything. Not Free. That's wild. Happy Cappy, I would take Paul Rogers. Right. Okay, good. I'm glad everyone agrees with me, but I want to clarify this is not Rod Stewart slander. I love, cherish, and respect Mr. Stewart. His daughter is super hot. I can say that. But again, everybody underestimates the faces. Everybody thinks I got red ink on my hand here. but the Faces don't get enough credit either. So I'm a big Rod Stewart fan here. I wish he had stayed with the Faces, but still, he's got a lot of good solo songs. Infatuation, I've been really digging that song. Was Cocker in the Rock Against Yeast charity event? I don't know what that is. Not sure. Nick Sweeney. It is named after. Okay, let's see. Okay, we got a lot of Paul Rogers fans here. That makes me feel good. I figured everybody was a big Paul Rogers fan. But, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to start wrapping it up here, so we can all have a nice, relaxing Sunday night after this. But as always, we'll have our 12 p.m. noon, 9 p.m. 12 p.m. noon, 9 a.m. Pacific coffee talk. We'll have a bunch of shorts out tomorrow. We have tomorrow's live stream. Let's see what else. And I think that's it for tomorrow. And then Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll have another episode out. Another one on Friday. Hopefully another one this weekend as well. So bing, bang, boom. A lot of stuff coming up. Bam says, got to go listen to music now. Yeah, good call. I'm gonna be driving and I'm gonna listen to some free myself. I have such sights to show you, engineer says. Well, email me, dog. Let's see. Okay, there's a whole recreation wildlife region in his honor. Whose honor? Ontario? I'm not sure. Ontario? I'm confused. I'm not sure what we're getting into there. But yes, I digress. Lots of stuff coming up. If you haven't followed us on TikTok and Instagram, we got those up and going now. We're trying to build a following on there. And we're on Rumble too. I'm uploading more and more to Rumble. We have audio podcasts we're putting up on Spotify and Apple. And what else? Oh, yeah. This week or next week, we'll have the mugs available. We'll have some t-shirts coming. I keep saying this, but I'm trying to show you guys the t-shirt designs. Maybe I can post it as a post. I don't know, but I want to be able to talk about them while I'm showing them to you guys. Because if I just show you, you're gonna be like, I think you're gonna be like, oh, it's cool. But if I tell you what's going on, I think you'll think it's even cooler. I'll work on that. I'll try to have that sorted out where I can show you the shirt designs on the live stream tomorrow. Am I forgetting anything else? No, just stick with us. Thank you all for coming in the chat. Thank you all for subscribing. Thank you all so much, seriously, for all the support. And like I said, stay tuned because we got a lot of big stuff coming up. So thank you again, truly, for all of your support. It's always great to see all of you. Hope you've had a good weekend. Go have a good Sunday night, and we will see you tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Till then, God bless, and we'll see you then. Bye.